Raw, it's a Raw time, it's a Raw review. WWE did a dumb ending to Raw. This is my song. We're live! Thank you so much for joining us. Was that WWE's dumbest ending of Raw in 2019? I am Luca, and this is Chopper Pete Quinnell, and over there, manning the super chats, wearing his own t-shirt, is Randy Andy Datson, nerd. We're going to be talking about the ending of Raw. Now, a few people are going to say, you guys are too negative, give it a chance. I want to point out now, this is going to be a fairly positive episode of Raw in terms of review. Yeah. I think the worst thing I could say about the show is it was forgettable.
Yes, very much so.
The majority of it was forgettable. But I do want to talk about this ending. Because, boy howdy was this dumb.
This was really, really dumb.
And what's mind-numbingly annoying is it was this close from being good.
I know.
Like, this close from being perfect.
I know.
Like, they had everything lined up perfectly to make this work, and then literally slipped on a banana peel into a claymore, and the whole thing fell apart. And I'm like, what is happening now?
Yep.
So let's run through this, because this was a show-long storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Last week, they announced that it's going to be Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre versus Roman, and a partner of Shane McMahon's choosing. It's kind of like a tune-up match before The Undertaker and Roman team up to take on Shane and Drew at Extreme Rules. A few people took issue with it, saying, like, why would you give away a tag match that involves 3/4 of that tag match for free on Raw to build a pay-per-view? But, whatever. Got to get them ratings, I guess. And the show-long storyline was Shane trying to find a partner for Roman that were rubbish. So rather than go to, the people who are chasing around the 24/7 title, I guess they're busy, he was instead going for janitors. He approached a garbage man backstage and said, you're the best garbage man in the world. How would you like to be Roman Reigns' partner? He went up to a guy who was selling beer. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. This man was selling beer for $15.
I didn't notice that.
I don't know if it was a big beer, but I would bloody hope it was a big old beer for $15.
What's that? That's got to be like a tenner or more,
it's about,
right?
I think it's actually about 12, 13 quid. People think London's bad. Crikey. I want to go to New Jersey.
It's either that or $1.50. One of the two.
Could have been $1.50. But I think it said $15. Also, I think this was in New Jersey. I think it was in Newark.
Yeah, it was in New Jersey, yeah.
So they approach this guy, and then eventually they approach sort of an old janitor backstage, and they sit him down and they say, we're going to give you $5,000 if you're going to team with Roman and be, all you got to do is just stand on the apron. You get $5,000. And the guy's like, yeah, sure, absolutely. He's got a bit of a limp and stuff. So Shane and Drew walk off, heels. We have been heels. We've been dastardly heels. Everything so far is great.
Yeah, perfectly okay with this.
Perfectly okay with this. And then it gets to the match. And this guy comes out. He is called Gary Garbett.
The GOAT,
Gary Garbett. Thank you very much,
The GOAT,
Andy.
Gary Garbett.
And he's just brought me some water. Thank you very much, because I forgot to get some before the show.
Smart.
And so Gary Garbett comes out, the GOAT, and he's wearing a mask. So instantly, as a wrestling fan, you're like, there's a wrestler under there.
It's a chopper mask. It's literally a chopper mask.
It's the chopper mask.
Gimmick infringement, I swear.
And I'm like, this is great.
Yeah?
This is absolutely brilliant. I'm really enjoying this because there's going to be that moment where it turns out, he's a wrestler, and he beats up Shane and he beats up Drew, and then they get egg on their faces, and we build into the pay-per-view. Thumbs up for this. And Shane and Drew beat up Roman, they throw him outside, and then they target this poor Gary fella, and they bring him in, and they beat him up, and then all of a sudden, Gary makes a comeback. And he does a big old kick, and I'm like, this is great. And he does a big old dive, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then he gets in the ring, and Drew pins him. And I'm like, okay. And then the heels walk up the ramp, and then they unmask him, and it's Cedric Alexander. And the crowd go like, what? And the commenters are like, oh my God, it's Cedric Alexander. And I'm like, guys, he lost. He just got beat. He just got pinned. Why are we celebrating that it's Cedric? He just got beat. And him and Roman stand there and go like, oh, we got him. I'm like, no, you didn't. You got beat, mate. You got pinned. Clean as a sheet in the middle of the ring. Your plan failed. Spectacularly so. And they're standing there yucking up. Look at this image. Look at this thumbnail. This is the ending shot of Raw. And it's Cedric going like, wacka wacka, we got them. I'm like, you didn't. And Roman's there going like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. Well played. I'm like, he made you lose. You've got no momentum heading into the pay-per-view now. How could you book this? How do you book this? This was so dumb.
Did you say this is going to be a positive episode?
And it will be. And it will be a positive episode. But this, I couldn't believe my eyes. Between this and the opening segment, I had no idea what was going on with this show. But anyway, that was no good. I am sweating. I'm sweating so much. I'm going to let you talk for a bit now, Pete, because I've talked for quite some time there.
I don't know if I have anything to add to that. That was pretty, that covered most of the bases. All right, yeah. That face is ridiculous. So when I'll peel back the curtain a little bit. When I was watching Raw this morning, generally when I'm watching an episode of WWE, I won't make much noise. I generally don't react too much to what's going on the screen because I'm there and making my notes. I'm just watching. It's early in the morning, don't want to wake up my lady partner, etc. When this segment happened, and it was revealed to be Cedric Alexander, and then it fades to black and just goes off the air, I literally went, what? Like, what just happened? I was so confused.
And it's just one simple change.
Yeah.
He wins!
Yes,
That's
literally have him win!
It's the only... And if you had him win, this would have been an amazing end to the show.
It would have been great.
So cool, because for weeks and weeks and weeks, we've been saying, God, it sucks that Cedric is stuck in this 24/7 title picture because he's so much better than that. When he was brought up from 205 Live in the Superstar Shakeup, we were all dead excited because they're like, brilliant, Cedric Alexander is awesome. And he can get a real good chance to shine, stick him straight into that US title picture, and have amazing matches. Him and Ricochet, great match. It's got great match written all over it. And then he wasn't on TV, and then I think he won a match. I think he might have beaten someone, and then we haven't seen him since. And then he's just been in 24/7 stuff, and I just felt very sorry for him.
Yeah.
So imagine the ending of this show where he pins Drew McIntyre because they weren't expecting this old man to beat them up in a wrestling ring. So you get the surprise victory. Drew and Shane don't really lose anything because they were caught by the elements of surprise. Also, they're healed getting egg on their face. And him and Roman stand there and go, yuck, 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 we got them. All of a sudden, Cedric's like, he's in the main event picture.
You've built a star.
You've built a star overnight. Like, he is in the main event picture with Roman Reigns against Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. And you can build from that and have more stuff. But no, he lost.
He lost.
And they acted like he won.
It is so confusing. Because he took off his mask and just went, huh? Right? Guys? Am I right? No, you're not right.
Hey,
you lost.
He did it all in overalls. That's pretty
And it's
difficult.
very good. That's very impressive.
It was really good. And the thing is, his moves were getting reactions from the crowd because they were chanting for Gary the whole match. They wanted him in this match. And as soon as he made his comeback, the crowd were really getting into it, popping for all his spots. And then he just got Claymored. You're so close.
So close.
You're so close.
So close to this being like, and I would actually say, one of the best endings of Raw of 2019.
It would have been.
An ending where I would have come into work with a big spring in my step going like, Cedric's in the main event.
Right.
And we'd have sat here and our whole opening chat would have been about what next for Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
Because he's now in the main event scene and people are going to be talking about him in the comments and people are going to be optimistic. It's another Heyman genius move. But I don't know if Heyman had the week off or whatever this week. He's too busy cutting weird promos. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And but no, instead we're seeing it going like, why?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of is that Roman and The Undertaker are winning at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
And because they're winning at Extreme Rules, then Shane and Drew have to get a win here before we go into the pay-per-view. Otherwise, they lose 2 tag matches in a row.
Yeah, I think they just needed Roman to lose, and they had a guy come in to take the pin for Roman without pinning him. They didn't have any plans to build Cedric out of this. He's just a placeholder.
But this makes me think they have got plans for
I know,
him. This makes me think they think this works.
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I can't justify any of it. So I can't tell you what they're thinking because I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do from here. So I guess it is what's next for Cedric Alexander in a really weird way.
And it's a verbal version of a giant question mark.
Yeah, I just don't know. I had an entire section, you guys will see in the Raw review going up later today. I had a giant section talking about this segment. And due to time constraints and my script was already too long, I had to take out that entire section. But all I just left it with was, huh? That was my summarization of the entire segment because I didn't have any words for it. It's so confusing.
It was so bizarre. My only other rationalization of this is that they booked this angle and they booked Cedric to go in there, and just before it happened, or maybe partway through the show, Vince suddenly went, well, Cedric can't beat a big guy.
Yeah.
Because we saw that with Ricochet and Carl Anderson. Not Carl Anderson, even Luke Gallows in the show.
Yeah.
So maybe, and we've seen it from Vince. He said this with Finn Balor. Finn Balor can't have a convincing match with Brock Lesnar. He's too small. That's why we can't push him as a main eventer.
Of course.
So maybe it's just a case of they booked this, and then he was like, actually, no, hang on, you're tiny. You can't pin Drew McIntyre. He's big. And that's why we ended up with this. Either way, it was the dumbest ending of the year.
It's so bizarre. I genuinely still don't know how to think about it. Because I know it's dumb, but like I'm not angry at it.
No.
It's not like, you idiots, why didn't... I'm just like... I don't know what to feel. I'm like numb to it now. I don't know.
If I was angry, I would be like, why did you book this? But really, I'm more perplexed, like, how did you book this?
I'll do you one better. How did you do this?
Yeah, how did you manage to book this? It's actually impressive when I think about it. Randy, Andy Datson, what are people saying up in the super chats?
What are they saying indeed? Well, as usual, we have Tim Arndt starting us. In fact, I think he might have started our last probably 15 to 20.
Good man, Tim.
Super chat. So thank you very much, Tim. He says, I reckon Maria paid Gary $5,000 to impregnate her.
Yeah.
Could be.
Why not at this point, yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that segment, yeah.
Oh, you know what I would love, by the way? Just a quick aside for this segment. Is if they never took off the mask and they just pretended it was Gary. They just said, yeah, it was Gary. Just the janitor.
Do you know what, actually? That wouldn't have been worse.
I know, I would have loved it.
It would have been a better solution.
It would have been so weird and goofy, but I would have absolutely loved it if they'd have just played it straight and be like, yeah, that's Gary the janitor. Classic.
That is not the face of a man who just got pinned. It really isn't.
I just love getting knocked out, me.
He's bleeding from the mouth as well.
Tim again. In fact, we've just... About 8 of the first 10 are Tim, so get ready for this. How does a mixed tag elimination match work? What if Andrade went out and then Becky went out? Did you hear Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez going on? I have not. Brian Alvarez was so angry.
I heard
that
Brian said he said on Twitter that it was like 2000 WCW levels of stupidity, and he's not wrong on that one. It's still not a man being counted out from a Falls Count Anywhere match. Still not that bad. But it was like, but we'll get on to that.
Yeah, we'll get on to that.
And he back in again to say, good to see that CGW now has a Patreon page.
It does indeed, yes. Well, I mean, CGW, Lewis Tillett, who does the artwork for Crap Giving Wrestling, has a Patreon page. And so you can go support his artwork there if you'd like.
KJ says, Bobby not selling after what happened to him last week was ridiculous. It made Ray look like a chump too. What was even the point of that angle?
So Braun's win looks even more impressive on Sunday.
Correct.
Yeah, because they're pushing him as superhuman. Because the whole point of that segment was, how is he still standing? So yeah, he's been pushed as superhuman.
Yeah.
I'm still standing. Jobber J says, Tony the Garbage Man and Gary the Janitor. Can't wait for the gimmick battle royale.
I'd love them to do another gimmick battle royal.
I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, I was about to say it's match of the night at WrestleMania X7, but as we all know, that's Raven versus the Big Show. Raven versus the Big Show versus Kane in a hardcore triple threat match with Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Tim Arndt says, "What will be better this weekend? Extreme Rules, the Evolve Show, or Fight for the Fallen?"
It's difficult to say. Fight for the Fallen has a really good card.
It does.
Some really amazing matches on there. Extreme Rules, there's
There's some really good
there are
matches
some really good
on
matches
Extreme
on the
Rules.
card, yeah.
Like, I could see Samoa Joe Kofi being great. I could see potentially the last man standing that was announced on this show could be great. AJ Ricochet could be amazing.
On pay-per-view, absolutely.
Yeah. There's another couple matches I can't think of right now. But there's quite a few matches where I'm like, that could be really good. There's also Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans, but
which will be the main event.
And
Well, I was
we've
going to say
also
that's
got-
the main event.
We've also got Shane Taker and
that's it. So the two biggest promoted matches are the two matches that I've virtually no interest in.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like I'm down on Extreme Rules. But actually, to your point, it's got quite a good undercard. So it'll be like a WCW pay-per-view in 1999.
yeah.
Or 1998 or 1997. And the Evolve show it's Matt Riddle and Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight Championship, and Adam Cole versus Akira Tozawa for the NXT Championship.
That's something.
Which sounds fun. Like those will be fun matches.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Is Matt Riddle under 205 pounds?
I'm pretty sure that's the match.
He's a tall bloke.
I'll do a quick Google and I'll do the next question.
Because it would make sense if it was the other way around to have Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole and then Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak. But I guess that's not the way they're going.
I'll Google it while
Riddle's got to lose if he's going to not bring him up to 205 live.
You don't know that.
You don't know that.
Tim Arndt says, hot take, I reckon the guy that debuted in Impact was Rhino.
Wow.
I
could
just
say?
don't get it. Like, if you're going to debut or bring someone back, and they wear a mask, don't get them to do the thing that they're known for.
Well, that was the point, really, surely, wasn't it? So people know that it's Rhino and then get excited that it's Rhino.
Well, don't wear a mask.
Excuse me, it could be Gary the Goat Garbutt. It
Oh,
could be
that's
him.
true.
It could be anyone at this point.
Not him, but the other guy.
Yeah. It's fun that like Rhino's back in Impact. It's just at the moment, like the only reason I feel like I'm slightly down on it at the moment is that over the last like few months or so, we have had Rob Van Dam, Sabu, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, now Rhino, and with like Don Callis on commentary as well. It's like, guys, just drop the ECW thing already. Like the company's been dead for 20 years. I think it's time we all moved past that.
He said,
By the way, I just double checked. It is Drew Gulak versus Matt Riddle, and Akira Tozawa versus
Is
Adam
it
Cole.
for the Cruiserweight
It
Championship?
just says it's a singles match. Actually, it's a catch point reunion match.
The more you know.
wonderful. Tim says that Parker Greaves video was pretty gross, wasn't it?
That
The
one
what?
now?
The Parker Greaves video.
Is that the UFC thing?
Did
Did you not think to Google this before you asked the question, Andy?
He says...
I think he was just hoping that we knew what it was. But we don't.
Because now we're just creating dead air.
Yeah,
correct.
but we'll just ask the next one and I'll do the research
Google
during the
Live on
break. Tim again says, is it obvious that I've prepped for the stream?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do 3 more for now and then we will do the rest later. So we've got Jobber JJ saying, here's $5,000. He doesn't actually give $5,000, but I
close
think
enough.
he was
Yeah,
making
so-
a reference.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Vernon Jeffries says, hey guys, do you still do fancy booking warfare?
Oh, what a good question. Yes,
Sort of.
sort of. Essentially, the last topic we had, Ollie and I couldn't really think of much of a storyline to do, and we didn't want to just then fob it off. So, and then schedules just got in the way. So we will eventually do it. It's just that, we'll eventually do it again.
This is a bit of a question. Japanese name says, AJ Lee said she didn't quite equate the booking of her character as a reflection of self-worth. Do you feel WWE uses booking to mentally abuse wrestlers?
Whoa.
That is a question.
And we'll end on that one.
Whoa.
No, I'm going to throw it to you first.
There you go, Pete.
You can tell I'm in charge this week.
I think there's a case to be made for it. I think if, for example, if someone is on the way out of their company and they attempt to bury the character before they go, that could be seen as some sort of mental abuse, I guess, of their character and their well-being before they head off to pastures new. I don't think it's an active choice they'd make. They aren't doing it to mentally abuse someone, but that might be a byproduct of some of the other things they do.
Yeah, in the same way, and I'm certainly not defending this because I think this practice is abhorrent, but companies that put people under sort of crunch time pressures
Yes.
are not done with the intent of mentally abusing their staff. It's just because they want things to be done within a certain time. But as you say, it's a byproduct of it. It's not the intent.
Yes.
At least I'd like to think it's not. It wasn't the intent.
Ideally.
Certain video game publishers, but
yes.
Well, that's another topic for another channel. Screenstalker, go subscribe to Screenstalker. And while you're on the process of doing things to support WrestleTalk and support the WrestleTalk community, get the WrestleTalk Almanac. Volume 2 is out now. We are supposed to have a physical copy of it here, but it hasn't been sent. We did have one. Then Ollie took it on the away day and then didn't bring it back. So we're waiting for another one to be sent to us. But we imagine there is a physical copy there for you to order. And it is very, very cool. It's got stats out the wazoo. So if you like to be a stat man, I'm a stat man, then get yourself, go to WrestleTalk.com, WrestleTalk.BigCartel.com, WrestleTalk.BigCartel.com, and get your copy of WrestleTalk Almanac Volume 2 today. Plug. Right, let's cover through Raw then. As I said, I didn't hate this show.
Nor did I.
I thought it was forgettable.
Very much so.
Is the word I would use for this. This didn't feel like a go-home show for a pay-per-view.
No, not at all. Yeah, that was probably my biggest complaint about this show. Not that it was bad. It's that this is a go-home show for Extreme Rules. It should be better.
Yes, absolutely. But we kick things off with Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins versus Andrade and Zelina, as I've written here, Vegas. Just Vega.
No new set for Raw, also. That was a rumor thing that was going to happen.
Yeah, I think they said that it was going to fast-track the process of replacing the set. But I wonder if they're now just going to wait until after Extreme Rules.
Maybe even after SummerSlam.
Maybe even after SummerSlam. Yeah. But yes, we start off with Lynch and Rollins versus Andrade and Vega. This had been sort of built on social media, I believe.
Yeah, Zelina and Becky got into it on the Twitters.
On the Twitter machines. Yeah. And this was an intergender tag team match, but because of the no wrestling in the ad break rule, it also had to be elimination. But because it was an elimination match and it was intergender, the men couldn't fight the women couldn't fight the men. Men had to fight men, women had to fight women. So at the first fall, where Becky tapped out Zelina Vega, it suddenly became a 2-on-1 handicap match, advantage babyface. However, Michael Cole said, this is basically a singles match now. Because Becky can't tag in. Yeah. And yet, Becky was still on the apron.
Yeah.
Waiting for a tag. Mm-hmm. And as someone pointed out in the comments, I apologize if I've forgotten the name already. If you want to find that out for us, please. And it was one of the second or third comment I think we had. That means if Andrade had pinned Seth, would it have been a tie?
It was Tim.
It was Tim.
Yeah.
Of course it was Tim.
Thanks,
Tim.
Would it have been a tie?
I don't know. The honest answer, I have no idea.
Actually, Sean Spears, not tie.
Well, if it's an elimination match, generally it's the team that gets to 0 loses. So considering the other team would still have 1 left, then the heels would win if Andrade beat Seth. Yeah, no.
I suppose because Becky's eliminated from the match, I guess.
Because Becky's eliminated from the match
because she won.
Can't wrestle. Yeah, because she won. So at the first fall, whoever wins, both people get eliminated, which means the first fall is pointless.
I've seen a few people who have been defending the no wrestling in the ad breaks rule.
No.
I would say this is impossible to defend because actually there's very few outcomes of this that make sense. In WWE's own rules, it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
It wasn't a great start of the show. Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter. Rollins won. Rollins pinned Andrade, and that's that.
I mean, aside from the stupid ruling, I still had fun with this match. I thought that they actually had some decent wrestling.
In-ring wrestling was stuff. Andrade, I mean, I've written in my notes, God, Andrade versus Seth, what a dream for you that is.
Right? And I said literally, I was like, oh, they have such great chemistry. And then I realized that I say that about pretty much every Andrade match ever. It's just more of a reflection on Andrade than anything else.
Yeah, he's very good at professional wrestling.
He is, isn't he? He's very good.
Particularly when they actually had this sequence where Andrade was not so much making a comeback, but he was on massive offense because Zelina Vega had done her Hurricane Rana off the apron to the floor, and then Andrade rolled him back in and hit the double knees. The crowd were actually super into that near fall. So if you remove we have to make this an elimination match because of the no wrestling in the ad break rule, this would have been really good, actually.
Yeah.
And I'd have really, really enjoyed it. It's just they're falling onto their own sword with these very weird choices.
Yeah. And one thing I will say about this match as well, it has the least convoluted way I've seen of setting up the stomp move where someone has to hold on to the ropes and the other person stomps on them from the top rope. It's the least convoluted way I've seen of setting that one up. Because Seth jumped up to Andrade on the top rope, going for a superplex Falcon Arrow thing that he normally does. And as he went up for a superplex, Andrade countered him and made him slip on the ropes. So then he fell and he caught himself on the ropes to catch himself from stopping falling on the floor. And then Andrade stomped on him. I was like, that's great! That's such a good way to set up that spot. I mean, you can't do it all the time, but it worked really well in this match.
That was Del Rio's finisher.
I know.
And it was just
so
like everyone has to sit up into it. It's like,
Yeah.
just don't sit up, mate. Just go into a tree of woe position.
It's bad.
And then as Rollins and Lynch were walking up the ramp, Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans attacked them and left them laying. And then Paul Heyman came out, and you had Michael Cole say, as we go into ad break, is Brock Lesnar here?
No.
Spoilers. No, he wasn't.
No, he's not.
We then had Corbin and Evans backstage, where Corbin calls Seth and Becky's relationship he said that their relationship is in Corbin and Lacey's relationship is strictly personal, and that love stinks.
Yep, pretty much. Just saying, hey, their love is going to screw them over because we're great.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
And that'll come back later on when Corey Graves did an interview backstage.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Heyman then cut an in-ring promo. Says that he knows a lot about Extreme, and he knows a lot about Extreme in Philadelphia because Extreme Rules has taken place in Philadelphia. And he says that Brock Lesnar is going to cash in on Sunday on either Kofi Kingston or Seth Rollins. But then says that he might be lying.
Yeah.
Only Brock knows the answer. Only Heyman knows the answer. Only Smarties knows the answer. What did you make of this?
This was weird. Because, for starters, this wasn't a normal Heyman promo. He seemed really, tired in this promo. He didn't have the normal, fire and passion that he normally delivers his promos with. Seemed a bit like, I guess I have to say these words now. And he used his signature catchphrase, that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. And then he said, I've not been lying about spoilers since before WrestleMania 30, when he first did it for the Brock Lesnar Undertaker match when he broke the streak. Anytime he said, that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler, that has come true every single time. And then he said, so I've built up credibility for that phrase, so if there ever was a time to lie, it would be now. So he's not cashing in then. You're just saying that to make people buy the pay-per-view. And now you have an out, because Heyman said that. So now you don't get backlash for it.
Yeah, I'm not
really weird.
It's not how I would promote wrestling shows. Also, perhaps people can help us out with this in the chat. But did Heyman use the "that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler" line to build up Seth versus Brock at WrestleMania? Because in theory, I was going to say he must have done, right?
Yeah.
Because in theory, that was a lie because Seth won. Seth won.
Do you know what that might be an out? I know I am purely Pritcharding this right now. If he said, in the main event of WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar will beat Seth Rollins, and then they didn't do it in the main event, so then they have an out. I don't know if that's what he said. That's just an argument I could see them using.
Maybe, but yeah, this is a cheap ploy to try and get people to buy Extreme Rules this weekend, or to get the WWE Network and watch Extreme Rules this weekend. I don't know if Lesnar's going to be there. To be honest, at this point, I'm kind of over it.
I don't care, because
they've driven this. Brock's going to cash in. It felt like they were doing it every week after he won it, and then they've done it for Super Showdown. And I'm kind of over it now.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he's going to cash in at SummerSlam or before they go to Fox at the very least. So yeah, I'm kind of over. If he's at Extreme Rules, fine. If he's not, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather they just stop talking about it, so then maybe some people forget about it, and then he'll just show up, and that'd be a great moment. But
absolutely, they recap Strowman and Lashley from last week, and announced that they're going to be having a last man standing match this coming Sunday, which, as you said, should be a lot of fun.
It could be, from the looks of their Falls Count Anywhere match that they had on Raw last week. Could be a really fun match. I'm excited for it.
And because of the gimmick and stuff, you can use the smoke and mirrors and loot and plunder, and you don't have to end up with the match they had at Super Strong Down. Super Strong Down is what it was, which was not terrible. It wasn't Triple H Randy Orton bad, but it wasn't particularly it wasn't a fire emoji either.
No, it wasn't. Also, didn't Braun Strowman have a quote unquote ruptured spleen?
Yeah, but he's also a bit superhuman.
Mm-hmm, but he's back now. Cool.
Well, Bobby Lashley is back. Braun wasn't here this week.
That's true. I mean, Bobby didn't sustain any injuries.
They did say that Bobby was beaten up because he cut that promo from hospital last
so he's
week.
Beaten up, but he didn't have a ruptured spleen.
He's not as injured.
Yeah, not as injured.
Then we got the Shane and Drew approaching a garbage man backstage. And then we got, guess what? It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's a 6-man tag. It's The Miz and the Usos versus Elias and Revival. I'll give you 3 guesses as to why this was a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's ad breaks.
So, probably ad breaks, maybe. Just going out on a whim here. Might be ad breaks.
Very much was ad breaks. Although I did like Miz coming out wearing a t-shirt with his dad's face on it.
It's great.
Yeah, very
Always
good
appreciate
that. Revival, despite being tag team champions, still aren't getting an entrance.
No, and they also had Miz come out first, then the heels, and then the Usos.
Yes.
Hate that.
Because of ad breaks.
Stop it.
Because of ad breaks.
I know.
And to be honest, like that, I think it's fine. It's,
It's a nitpick. Don't get me wrong. It's a massive nitpick.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
The Usos cut a promo on the Revival before the match, and then they just had a match. But if like these matches feel clunky now because of this sort of this pointless 2 out of 3 falls mechanic that these matches sort of have to have now.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to get into drama of pinfalls and submissions when you know it's only being done for the purposes of ad breaks.
Yeah.
And actually, all we're doing is we're just pinning people multiple times now per month. Everyone's just getting pinned. So actually, everyone just looks a bit rubbish.
Mm-hmm. And I will say the very small silver lining about this whole ad break situation is that I'm now more looking forward to pay-per-view matches than I was before. Before the ad break thing was introduced, I was like, I get to see AJ Ricochet on pay-per-view, but they'll probably screw it up. Now, I've seen the various ways of diverting ad breaks on Raw. An AJ Ricochet match on pay-per-view with no ad breaks, I'm like, cool. Hopefully that'll be really, really good. I'm more excited for pay-per-view matches without ad breaks now.
Well, we always had pay-per-view matches without ad breaks.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's made me notice it even more. So by making the regular weekly TV product worse, I am now looking forward to pay-per-views more, which is a terrible, terrible way to go about it. And also, you have to deliver on the pay-per-view matches being good. Otherwise, then I'll just stop caring about everything. But small silver lining.
Absolutely. So speaking of silver linings, I very much enjoyed this throughout the show. We've got a recap of Drake Maverick winning the 24/7 title last week and his social media escapades that they had on their honeymoon in Orlando, which is where they live, which his wife brilliantly pointed out. Has she been named on TV?
Not on TV, she hasn't, no.
Because they just keep calling her Drake's wife.
Yeah, which is a bit mean. But
But yeah, so like every time they're posing, he keeps putting the title up in front of her face. It's really, really good
funny.
stuff.
Yeah,
it's
great
really
stuff from
funny.
Maverick.
And then he was like, we're going to go to the next part of our honeymoon. And she's like, is it Paris? Is it this? Is it that? He goes, no, we're going to New York, New Jersey for Monday Night Raw. And it's great. And then they're backstage at Raw, and he's like playing hideout in a crate, and she's on watch. And he says that he just wants to show her what a great champion he is, and then later he can show what a great husband he is.
Ayo.
And she even agrees to consummate the marriage later. You see his tweet about this?
No.
He tweeted out, I think it might have just been shortly before we went on air, but he tweeted out saying, like, still haven't consummated the marriage, very busy from all the running, or very tired from all the running around. Good stuff. I like Drake Maverick a lot.
He put so much into this gimmick, into
really
24/7 stuff. He's amazing.
And actually, shout out to Drake Maverick, because not only through this admittedly rubbish title, sorry Jobber JJ, it is a pointless title.
It is.
Through this pointless title, not only has he now got himself on TV on a weekly basis on both Raw and SmackDown,
yeah,
he's also got his wife a job.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Which is great.
Yeah.
Like, that's what every man would love. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, credit to Drake.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Spud. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Drake. I'm enjoying Drake with the belt so much more than I did Truth.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I think I prefer Truth to have he's still funny without the title. Whereas I think Drake, the gimmick he's got now only really works when he has the title.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Best way around.
Triple H celebrated the United States women's football team, or soccer team for our American friends, winning the Women's World Cup by sending them customized WWE Championship belts.
Nice.
Yep. I did see someone on the Wrestling Observer boards post up saying, like, really weird that the US team didn't thank Stephanie McMahon for inventing women's sports.
Inventing women, yeah.
It does help that they're one of the only countries in the world that actually takes women's football seriously.
Well,
that was Football Corner with Randy Andy Datson.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what the more boring part of this show is. Then we got Drew and Shane, who approached a beer vendor who, again, seemed to be selling beer for $15 a pint. It's nuts.
Could have been 2 pints.
When I've been to gigs before, I remember when I went to see Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson at the O2. And they have the people that walk around with the beer kegs on their back and they fill them up for you. Yeah. And I thought this is quite genius, really, because cheekily, they charge you £4.80 for a pint. And you think like, oh, it's 20p cheaper than, a fiver. But if you buy 2 of them, you just hand them over 10 quid, and you're like, nah, don't worry about the change. Mm-hmm. So actually, they do get to charge you £5 for it.
Yeah.
Smart thinking. Then we got Rey Mysterio's big return to Raw after being out of action for a handful of weeks, I guess.
He said 6 in his promo.
Yeah.
So.
Has it been 6 weeks?
Supposedly. Right,
yeah. And he was laying out an open challenge from the back, and I thought maybe this could be Rey's new gimmick because he hasn't got a feud at the moment. Maybe he could just bring up guys from NXT and have good matches with them, or undercard guys and just give them a good showing because he's Rey Mysterio and he's likely to have a good match with anyone.
Yeah.
And that's a way to kind of put over new talents. But actually, instead, this was a way to push the Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman storyline, which I'm actually perfectly fine with. I thought this was really good.
Seriously, that last segment from last week with Bobby and Braun has elevated Bobby's stock so much that I did not mind him coming out to answer this open challenge at all.
Took 1 week to rehab his character.
Yeah.
Because he was like, all the stuff before Super Showdown was pretty naff. And then like the arm wrestling and the tug of experience was pretty bad. But all of a sudden now he just feels like this dominant badass. And it feels like, we credited Heyman for it last week, which according to the Observer is the case. Mm-hmm. He also is credited for the Mike and Maria stuff, which I think is hot garbage. But I think this very much feels like a Heyman thing, because Heyman likes legitimate style athletes or big monsters like Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
So this feels like a very much a Heyman directed thing, and I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And Lashley beat Mysterio in about a minute. Mysterio managed to get in a 619, so he doesn't look like a complete chump. But also then Lashley came back after that, caught the follow-up to the 619, hit a massive slam, hit a spear, and then pinned him.
Absolutely, cool. Yeah. And then he drags him up onto the stage, and he's going to toss him through the stage, just like Braun had tossed him through the stage, or pushed him through the stage last week, and instead just throws him onto a bunch of refs, and says the last week he was the only man standing, and he'll be the last man... the last man standing on Sunday. That was disgusting. I do apologise. He'll be the last man standing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he botched his line slightly, but he recovered. It was fine.
It's all right. Just burp through it. That's the way I go. But yeah, no, I really liked Bobby here, and I thought Ray did a good job in putting him over. For sure. The other downside to the no wrestling and an ad break thing is that I knew this match was going to go short.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a 2 out of 3 falls match or an elimination match.
Do you want to know what the longest match was on the card?
Please tell me. Surely it's the 6-man, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, the longest fall on the show.
Longest opportunity
On the show was apparently, roughly, I briefly checked the Observer earlier today, it's about 4 minutes.
So it's the Bayley-Sarah Logan match?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that went like 4 minutes 30.
4 minutes 32, yeah. I think that was the longest fall on the card.
But there was a lot of wrestling on this show.
There's so much wrestling.
It felt like it was just like there were matches starting left, right, and centre, which is good because it really does keep the pace up. And actually, shorter matches aren't always the worst thing. Like Attitude Era Raws, matches barely went 90 seconds because it was all about what angle can we do next? Yeah. And this, that, and the other. They'll probably still have an ad break in the middle of it as well.
Of course.
So I don't mind it as much. Longer matches are obviously always great, but things like this, I think it works really well for a character like Bobby Lashley.
Oh yeah, for sure. For certain squash matches and certain angles, it's completely fine. I just don't think it works for every match on every card.
No.
Because then it gets a bit repetitive.
And then we got the club walking backstage, the newly reformed club, which reportedly is the reason why Gallows and Anderson re-signed. That and some very, very tasty pay checks as well. Apparently they got a massive, massive pay increase.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah, and so now they're back together. So now that they've re-signed, I can't wait for them to split this group up.
Seriously, I'm expecting them to last maybe to SummerSlam, and that's it.
The most WWE thing did.
Yeah.
We got you stuck now.
We've got you signed. We've done an angle at SummerSlam where you lost decisively, and now you can go your separate ways.
But me and Charlie Caruso wanted an explanation from AJ Styles, and he essentially turned the tables on me and Charlie and was like, no, you're dumb. I'm not saying anything to you, and walked away.
Yeah, he said doesn't know anyone an explanation and tells her to get out of his face.
Oh, good old AJ.
Oh,
I saw
someone
say on Twitter, I can't remember who, I was scrolling through my feed, it was just like, I have missed heel AJ Styles.
Me too.
This is amazing. Like,
Isn't it just?
This feels like a huge breath of fresh air into him.
Yeah.
Because, like, do you know what? I don't think his WWE Championship run last year was that good.
No, it wasn't,
And
unfortunately.
I don't think that's AJ's fault. I think he was given a lot of lackluster feuds that went on for too long. He was feuding with Samoa Joe for about half a year. It just went on for too long. Same with Shinsuke Nakamura. Those should have been like really hot feuds, but they actually felt by the end of it really, really pants.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is a real big breath of fresh air for him. He's now mixing up with Ricochet. They're going to have a great match this coming Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really happy to see heel AJ. He's got a bit of a swagger about him. It's a lot of fun.
I think the thing I like most about heel AJ is that he seems more explosive with his movements. He seems more like fired up and more like intense with all his movements, and it looks so good because he can pull that off amazingly because he's very fast and agile. And when he has that explosiveness in him, it looks amazing. I love AJ.
We've got more wrestling. It's No Way Jose versus Cesaro. So this is built up from last week where Cesaro just decked him after some 24/7 shenanigans. Jose is he's back to his afro again.
Yeah, he's got rid of all the green cornrows, whatever he had, dreadlocks, whatever they were.
And he's wearing camouflage trousers. Quite a gimmick change. Well, I say quite a gimmick change. He's still got the sex party gimmick, but he's now wearing different clothes. But Cesaro tapped him out very quickly with a sharpshooter.
It was cool.
Cool.
I like the fact he used the sharpshooter and not the neutralizer or an uppercut or something.
Cesaro,
something different.
As we said last week, Cesaro totally feels like a Heyman guy.
Yeah,
the sort of guy that would get a push in a Heyman regime.
Absolutely, and they were building him up pretty big on commentary as well. The entrance looked a little bit different, I think, this time with like the lights coming on at different times and lit up and stuff. And the commentary were like, "Oh, pound for pound, most strong," and he's cruel and vicious and all that other stuff that the normal buzzwords they use for guys they're trying to push. Hopefully this leads to something good for Cesaro.
Maybe it's going to lead to him taking on Seth at SummerSlam.
Imagine.
Seth versus Cesaro at SummerSlam. Yes, please, mate.
Yes, please, but
Bloody
never going
please.
to happen.
You don't know
Chef's
that.
kiss.
You don't know that.
It's the Heyman era.
If they beat...
As of next week.
Yeah, if they beat Corbin and Evans at Extreme Rules, that means Corbin and Evans now no longer get any shots at the Universal title, which means you're going to need someone new to face Seth.
If that happens, I will help you with predictions going forwards, because you need it.
No.
Anyway, Street Profits are backstage, and they were hyping up the tag team match that's coming this Sunday with Roman, Shane, and Drew. I'd say the Street Profits did a better job of hyping up this show than Michael Cole.
Yes, very much so. I mean, Street Profits are great, very funny, hype up some stuff, cool. Just wish they were doing something a bit more meaningful if they're going to be on Raw.
But I think as hype men, they are very, very effective.
They're all right.
I'm a big fan of the Street Profits. And as I said, I think that they are so charismatic that they can actually, if they are just going to be used in like the Don West role in TNA where you're just there to hype things up, then, sure, I'd like to see them be wrestling as well. But at the moment, they've clearly got nothing for them. They've just been, according to reports, cherry-picked by Heyman to be on Raw. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go with them. But for now, this is kind of good to just have them on camera doing something as opposed to being told they're coming up and then we don't do anything with them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good for audiences to get to know who they are for an eventual call up. They then go, oh, it's those guys who were doing the hype.
The thumbs up thing, yeah, exactly. They recapped the Mike and Maria Kanellis situation from last week. And then backstage, Maria sat there. She doesn't look particularly happy. And Mike approaches her. And he says that he's not been himself. He's excited to have a baby with her. He loves her. She says, I love you too. And she wants ice cream and pickles. And then he runs off. And she then says, what kind of a man taps out to a woman? It's, you know what? It's soap opera. Is it soap opera stuff?
It's just bad. That's what it is. It's just bad.
I don't like this story.
No. Is there a story? What's the end game? What's the end goal of this story? Because you can't have
what a question.
Mike coming to the realization that his wife is like abusing him or whatever it is, manipulating him. Are they gonna do like a divorce storyline? But they stay together in real life? Like, what's the goal here? I don't understand what the point is.
Is the storyline to have Maria push Mike to the edge where he snaps and then we get mean Mike Kanellis?
It's a bad way of getting there, but it might be okay if they do that.
At the moment, I am not a fan of this storyline. I think it is poo.
Yep, it's not great.
Also, I am no doctor. Don't pretend to be one. I just play one on telly.
Mm-hmm.
Do women get cravings this early on in a pregnancy?
I have no idea.
Well,
I thought it was a later pregnancy thing.
I think that's also a later pregnancy thing. I don't think she was getting cravings. I think she just wanted them. She was just telling Mike to
I
go
think
get them.
everybody is different, and women probably get cravings at different stages.
You're
just like
right.
some women don't get morning sickness and others get it terribly. So
You're
I don't think
right.
we can
That's
judge.
true.
No.
That's true.
Also-
But also she asked for ice cream and pickles. Preferably, I really hope not together.
I mean, ice cream and pickles would be my order, but I would have them separate.
Pickles on anything is a crime.
What? Oh,
You're just saying
here come the
things
comments.
now. Yep.
I over the weekend just bought a giant jar of pickles just so I can stick a fork
Did
in
you
and just
see the size of the jar that Mike brought her later?
I did. Do you know what? I was like, hello, mate. Yes, please. I'll marry you if that's the case. Looked amazing. Bayley and Nikki Cross did sit-down interviews to set up their Beat the Clock challenge later on. Nikki says that she wants to win tonight for Alexa, and Bayley says that Alexa's using you. It's the same promo that Bayley's been cutting now for weeks on end. And Nikki says she's not. It's the same promo she's been cutting for weeks on end. And they announced that Bayley is going to face Sarah Logan.
Woo, yes.
While Nikki is going to face Dana Brooke. Logan's back on TV, everyone.
That's great.
Great
We
stuff.
really look forward to seeing Sarah Logan. Also, I had a moment of realization here where they said, Bayley says, she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. I was like, oh yeah, you are on SmackDown. This is Raw. What are you doing here? Yeah.
But Nikki obviously has to get the line in that Dana Brooke is bigger and stronger than she is.
I have that all in capitals in my notes. It's such a stupid line. Dana's bigger than me. She's stronger than me. But she's not tougher than me. Shut up. Stop using that line. It's really bad.
But yeah, these interviews were very stilted. The biggest issue about it was it's promos that we've heard 1,000 times before because this feud has gone on longer than it needed to. Truth and Mella are backstage looking for Drake, and Truth says that he wants to get his baby back, and he does the Jeff Jarrett lyrics of With My Baby Tonight. Mm-hmm. Drake runs past him with the lower mid-card in tow, and then Truth grabs Mella, and they run in the opposite direction.
Classic Truth.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Up next, the Viking Raiders took on Colin and Devlin Justin, or was it Devin Justin?
It's Jordan Devlin Justin.
No one cares. Yeah, what I'd counter to that.
Well, the Viking Raiders won.
Yeah.
They had the match won early and they stopped the count, and then they Rowe hit the powerbomb slam combo thing, and then they slammed the Viking Experience.
Who's Rowe?
Rowe.
Do you mean Ivar? Or...
Nope. Rowe.
Hanson Rowe. Yeah, I mean, this was whatever. I think it's a massive come down for the Viking Raiders who faced the New Day last week, to then just be facing local talent again.
I guess it's just to keep them on TV. Just
Yeah.
keep that plate spinning
It's
until
something,
the
but,
tag titles are free for them to be a part of again.
There's got to be something you can do than have a third squash match for this show. Like, just give them, put them up against.
What was the other one?
There's definitely three.
Cesaro. Yes,
Cesaro.
Yes, so Cesaro and Bobby. Yes, there you go.
Cesaro, Bobby, and now
Viking
Viking
Raiders,
Raiders.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you've got to have.
Good job you're here.
I know, yeah. It was in my review that I was going to play it today. I should know this. But yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a not necessarily a waste because they are on TV at the very least, but just feel like you could do something better with them.
And they are putting them over like massively strong as well. Like, they give them the big presentation and everything. So I think like the Viking Raiders will eventually have something to do.
Yeah.
But at the moment they are very much just a plate that is spinning. But at least it is a plate that is spinning.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give them credit for that.
Yeah.
Then the 24/7 lot run in and the Viking Raiders kill them all and Truth runs away.
Yep.
Roman's backstage with Charlie Caruso, doesn't know who his partner is. Then we got the...
That was such a pointless promo.
It really was.
Charlie was just like, hey, do you know anything about your partner? He was like, I know you're looking for a story here, but no, I don't. It's like, okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Back to you guys in the ring.
I'll go and ask someone else then, I guess. And then we got Ricochet versus the Clubs. This originally was Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. Ricochet cut a promo where he said, in the end, I'm going to fight all three of them. And you had AJ recapping what happened last week via a video screen. And then, here's a shocker, Ricochet small, Gallows is big. Gallo dominated for the entire match.
Mm-hmm. It was at this point, as Ricochet was cutting his promo, it was actually a pretty good line. I quite like this one when he was like, you know what? I know it's supposed to be me versus Luke Gallows, but I know that AJ and Carl are going to be coming out with him. And hey, if there's going to be three of them, then I guess I'll just fight all three of them. And I was like, oh, that's actually like a cool babyface thing to do. It's like, yeah, let's just go fight. So that's cool. It was at this point that I was like, wild prediction. The first match is going to end with a roll-up, and after an ad break, it's going to be against Carl Anderson. Wouldn't you know it?
Yep.
It's exactly what happened.
Absolutely, it was, yeah. So Ricochet got a roll-up win over Luke Gallows, and then AJ said that Rick wants to take on all three of them, and he sets up Rick versus Anderson for after the ad break. This match was more evenly matched because they're both the same size, and you had AJ tripping Ricochet on the outside, and then Ricochet making a big comeback onto all three of them, dives onto Gallows and moonsault onto AJ, and went to hit, and then hit the 630 on Anderson for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Ricochet looked great coming out of this.
It was so good, yeah. There's so many tiny little things in this match that I love that makes me love guys like Styles and Ricochet. It's all the little details that make me love them in the ring. Like when AJ was trying to do a distraction and he tried to pull on Ricochet's leg, most times you see a distraction, it's like someone just going, yeah, and then they like tap their leg and they go, whoa, what are you doing? This one, AJ grabbed his leg and like yanked it so it was almost coming out the ring entirely. Then Ricochet was like, had to like forcefully get it back and it was like, whoa, what the hell? That was great. It's such a tiny little detail, but it makes so much difference. Because then you buy in to Ricochet like having to struggle his way out of AJ's grip.
And then poor old Ricochet got absolutely killed by the Club, got beaten up by Styles and the Good Brothers. And then they set up for the middle rope Styles clash, but AJ just threw him off and he said, do you know what? I don't want you to have any excuses when I beat you on Sunday, which is a great line.
Such a good line.
Such a good line.
Loved it.
And then with the little caveat, as long as you stay down.
Yeah.
But
Just
Ricochet,
stay down.
But Ricochet's a superhero. He's a superhero to the WWE universe. So we get back up into his feet. The Good Brothers like, this guy's just got back up. So they go back in there and they hold him up while AJ lays him out with a phenomenal forearm. I thought this segment was ace.
It was great.
I thought this was wicked.
Aside from, the forced whole ad break situation, this is pretty much perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And actually, I'd argue that you could have done this exact same thing even with the wrestling in the ad break because you'd have had the ad break just to break up the two matches. This felt like this whole segment would have come as a package 5 weeks ago before this stupid rule came into play.
Yeah,
So I'm a fan.
I think I would have rather he just faced one of them instead of both. I think.
I like the both.
You like both?
Yeah. I thought it was good. Then we got a hype for the Evolve show that is happening this Saturday. That's going head to head on with Fighter Fest. So I can't imagine why that's on the network.
Fight for the Fallen.
What did I say?
Fighter Fest.
I say that all the time.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Because they both start with fight.
Yeah. So yeah, no, God, can't imagine why this is on the WWE network.
Who can say?
But they didn't actually run down the card. They just said that the future stars of WWE are going to be there, and they had like a sort of hype video package for it as well. And I was like, isn't that what NXT is? And this is what you brand NXT is like.
Yeah.
This is what the future WWE main roster looks like.
But
so it's Evolve NXT too now.
This is the future of the future event of the WWE because Evolve was the future of NXT and the NXT is the future of WWE. So this is one step even further back.
I'm fascinated to read next week's Observer and see where it comes in like the top 10 rankings of the most watched things on the network. I'll be so curious to know.
Because no doubt they'll probably plug it again tomorrow on SmackDown as well. So you think there's a decent bit of hype for it, but It's also Fight for the Fallen.
And I'd say as well, I'm not sure I would say this is a decent bit of hype because all they said was the show is happening. With there was a video package there, but there was no rundown of the card, no this is what you can expect from the show. It just said this show is happening, and you get it for free if you subscribe to the network, and also you'll get Extreme Rules on Sunday.
Okay, I'll retcon what I said about a decent bit of hype. I meant they're promoting it on their 2 biggest shows, is what I meant.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Drake celebrates with his wife about still being the champ, and she was sat in a box with Truth inside it, and Truth said, "That's my baby." I like this. Mella was also hiding in a crate.
In a different crate.
That really made me laugh.
Yeah.
And then they chased after Drake, and I believe that was the last we saw of them.
It was, yeah. Truth piggybacked the referee as well, which I found was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And then they ran off after them, and that was it.
WWE are up for some ESPYs. They still haven't happened yet. When do they happen?
I don't
Randy,
know.
can you find out when do they happen?
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Shane and Drew speak to the janitor, which we talked about earlier, and then we got the Beat the Clock segment to build the SmackDown Women's Championship match. First up was Bayley versus Sarah Logan. This is Logan's first match on TV since WrestleMania.
Since WrestleMania 35, yeah.
Yeah.
And also the ESPYs are on Thursday.
Cool. At least we won't have
that's
to hear
good.
about the next. Well, I suppose we'll
Last
find out
week
who the winner is, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, this is a Beat the Clock challenge. Logan's still coming out to the Riot Squad music.
Really annoyed me.
Well, I guess that her and Ruby Riot are still a tag team. It's just that Ruby's injured, right?
And technically, wildcard rule is now no longer a thing, so Liv Morgan is still with them. They're still together, even though they're not together.
She's the first member of the Riot Squad to get on TV, right? Since Mania.
Yeah.
And I was thinking
Yeah.
about this. Remember that WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal when the final 3 was Asuka, Sonya Deville, and Sarah Logan?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great. This is awesome.
And then Carmella won.
And then Carmella won. Yeah.
But yeah, and Logan, she took over with the pop-up headbutt. But the crowd went into this tour. Loud, brief, but loud CM Punk
chants, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that Sarah Logan seems in better shape than she did at WrestleMania as well. She looked really, really good here as well.
And she's awesome.
Great, yeah.
Big fan of
She
Sarah
looked great.
Logan. But she lost to Bayley, who won at 4 minutes and 32 seconds.
And one with a sunset bomb in the corner.
Yeah.
Which was a bit weird.
Well, it's better than a Bayley to belly.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
Or her elbow drop.
Or anything that Bayley
Yeah.
to belly does.
And then we got Nikki Cross versus Dana Brooke in the second part of this Beat the Challenge. Basically, the winner of this Beat the Clock. Did I say Beat the Challenge? Beat the Clock Challenge. The winner of this. It's very sweaty in here.
It is.
The winner of the Beat the Clock gets to pick the stipulation for Alexa versus Bayley at Extreme Rules. I don't know what the match is. Anyway, Nikki hit the next. Oh my god,
Tell you what,
Nikki.
I'll take this one.
Thank you.
Okay. So
So
start
tired.
off. Okay, so Nikki Cross won with the neck breaker comfortably. There was like a minute and a half left on the clock.
I
It
think she
wasn't
had
even
2
close.
minutes to spare.
It was really not close at all. I was very confused by this match because as soon as the bell rings, Dana gets out of the ring and just walks around the outside. Very heel tactic for that.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Very heel tactic. So Dana's heel. Is Nikki the face? Very
But
confused.
I think Nikki's supposed to be a face, right?
Sort of, right? But then Dana's also definitely a face from her recent things that she's done.
That's only on YouTube. That's a different continuity.
You got me there. But then... And then Dana goes to the outside, runs around the ring, and then she goes up to Bayley, and Bayley's like, hey, you're doing a great thing. Go, Dana. I'm like, are you a heel? Who's the heel? Is Nikki the... I'm so confused. Who's heel and who's face? Yeah, who's heel and who's face? I don't understand. And then afterwards, Nikki wins the match with the neck breaker with plenty of time to spare. She's asked Bayley to get in the ring because she's got something to say and she'll say it to her face. And she makes the match a 2-on-1 handicap match for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Like a heel.
Like a heel. And then Bayley beats her up.
But I think Bayley had every... I thought this was actually a good babyface moment for Bayley because Nikki Cross was saying, like, you don't have any friends. You don't know what the meaning of true friendship is. You've chased all your friendships away. You need a friend of your own. And Bayley was just like... Because obviously Bayley knew what Nikki was referring to and attacked her. And Nikki knew what she was doing to try and wind her up. And Bayley responded in kind. I thought it was actually a bit of a babyface moment for Bayley. And she hit with the Bayley's belly and her elbow drop. To stand tall at the end. But I guess this really is setting up a Sasha Banks return this Sunday.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. The crowd booed Bayley's attack on Cross.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, then. If you're going to have Cross supposedly be a babyface, someone beating her up because she's saying what she thinks is then a heel move, even if it looks like a babyface thing.
But if this was Becky Lynch, we wouldn't have said that Becky was acting like a heel in this scenario. We would have said she was acting like a badass.
Well, I think they're two different things, though, because Bayley's character isn't to be a badass. Bayley's the cute and innocent and happy-go-lucky and smiley one.
True.
And I also didn't like the fact that Bayley was constantly just like laughing and smiling and not taking Nikki seriously at all. When Nikki was like, right, you get in this ring, I've got something to say to your face, and I'm going to say it to you right now. And Bayley was like, okay, sure, whatever. It's like, that's like a classic John Cena thing. When he doesn't take his opponent seriously and then they don't get pushed as much. They don't feel as big time because they're not a threat to John. That's the vibe I got from Bayley, just like, yeah, sure, whatever.
In fairness, this is a terrible storyline.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, it's not great.
This is a terribly inconsistently told story.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So everything you said is completely right.
Yeah, I guess it's open to interpretation. Artist view, right?
I guess so.
But yes, this might be setting up a return for Sasha Banks because Nikki was very much hammering home the point of, you don't have friends. Go find your friend. Friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
PW Insider are reporting that Banks is being locally advertised for the July 22nd Raw in, I believe, Tampa. And they released a SummerSlam poster locally in Toronto yesterday, which features Sasha Banks on the poster.
Indeed.
And it was like Banks, Becky, and Charlotte were the only women on the poster as well. So that's like a prominent role, like a prominent place for her as well.
Banks, Becky, and Charlotte?
Yeah.
No Bayley then, the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Of course not. Why would she be on the poster, Pete? Come on now. Then we got the conclusion to the Mike and Maria stuff, which, no, it's not as bad as the Alexa Nikki storyline, because at least we haven't seen this one for a while.
That's true.
It is still bad, though. It's a close second.
Pretty bad.
She was backstage with her flowers. Mike walks up with the ice cream and pickles. She wants to know, she's asked, would you impregnate me again if I wasn't pregnant now? Mike says, yeah, of course I would. And Maria says, you'll never impregnate me again. I'm not even sure if the baby is yours. And then screamed, look what you've done to me. Are we doing a storyline where the baby isn't?
Jason Jordan's.
I don't know. It's a
It's
bad story.
not good. It's not good.
Bad story.
Then we got the recap of Corbin and Evans attacking Becky and Seth earlier in the night, and it's just Cole and Renee at the announcer table, like just focused on them. And you're like, that's weird.
Where's Corey?
And they cut backstage, and Corey's interviewing Seth and Becky, and I'm like, why is Corey doing this interview?
Where's Mean Charlie Caruso?
Where's Mean Charlie? This is literally her job. Is she busy or something?
Yeah.
Like, was she at the craft table? Like, just do your job, mate. And I thought maybe Corey's going to, like, have something here. Maybe he's going to inject something into the storyline. But no, he just played generic interviewing robot. What do you think of the feelings in the match? And then they gave their robotic answers, and they said they'll win on Sunday and left. And I was like, what was Corey doing there?
To Pritchard this segment, I think what they tried to do, it didn't come off this way, but what they tried to do was have Graves be the voice of the heels, saying that your relationship's going to get in the way of your match, and do you think your relationship will be strained if Becky loses Seth's title or Seth loses Becky's title? How will that affect your relationship? Will you still be together afterwards? Because that's all the things that Baron and Lacey were saying earlier, and obviously Corey is supposed to be the heel commentator, so I think they were trying to get a heel voice to say it. It definitely didn't come off that way because he did it very kind of straight. He wasn't like, oh, I disagree with you because this and this. He didn't come off like a heel. He came off like an interviewer, but I think they wanted him to do it because he's a heel on commentary.
And you're right, Mean Charlie has never said a mean thing in her life.
Never.
Absolutely not.
Never.
Got a recap of Joe and Kofi from SmackDown. Can't believe we got a SmackDown recap on Raw.
Mental.
And then we got the Street Profits hyping up a couple of other matches from Extreme Rules. So, Pete, you're a child. They want the smoke.
I have no idea what that means.
I was really hoping you could fill me in on this one.
Not a clue.
Anyone in the chats help us out?
Not a clue.
What do they mean by we want the smoke?
We want the smoke.
I'm in my mid-30s. I need a bit of help here. Is this an Instagram thing?
I'm in my mid-20s and I don't understand this.
Fire causes smoke.
Fire
is hot.
Is it a Snapchat thing? The one with the ghost? I don't know.
Yeah, help us out.
I don't know. And then we got the main event segment, which was dumb.
It was really bad.
So overall, I thought it was a very forgettable.
Cedric Alexander.
It was a very forgettable episode of Raw. I enjoyed the AJ Ricochet stuff. Really, really enjoyed that. But the opening segment wasn't very good because it's just full of logic holes of their own doing. And I thought the main event segment was extremely dumb.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I thought there were some fun things peppered throughout the show, but the things that took up the most time in the most segments throughout the night and the big stories, they're the worst ones on the show. And for that, it makes the whole show feel poor because the only good bits are the little segments.
No, I would agree with you there. And I think you were, you said you were actually more positive about this show than a lot of people online were. Looking at the reviews from like Cage Side Seats and everyone else, I think you were probably way more positive about the show than I was. There was very few things on this that made me angry or like made me sort of throw my hair off and made me get angry apart from this sort of like end segment here. I mean, even then I was just more perplexed.
Yeah.
But like, I think I was just so ambivalent to it. Like I was just at the end of it, I was like, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the show's over. I'm not really that excited for Extreme Rules. Like this show didn't hype me up for Extreme Rules.
Exactly.
And that means it wasn't a particularly great go-home show.
Yeah, I think if this was a different week, just like a random week of TV, it probably would have been like a 3 out of 5 for me, would have been an average. But I think because it's a go-home show, and you ended with this, if this wasn't the closing segment as well, it's a poor for me. It's 2 out of 5.
Closing angle. Waka waka. I lost.
Ayo!
But I guess I sort of won though, right?
Got him!
Tell me I won. Randall, what are people saying up in them super chats?
We have a lot to get through.
All right, let's fire through it.
We want the smoke is fight, to have a fight. And it's also a song by Cardi B.
Cool. Oh, that's probably it then.
Which has about 3 lyrics.
What is a Cardi B?
Cardi B is a female rapper who is also a self-confessed...
Do we need to know?
Naughty thing, which we won't talk about here. But,
Cool.
Bad things.
You can tell me that
Thanks,
off air.
Randy.
Green Vega Club starts us off, and we're going to have to rush through these. Says, Ollie should turn heel on WrestleTalk. Well, maybe that's what he's doing.
Possibly.
He's on holiday.
And he's not here.
He's allowed time off.
Going on. No, he's not.
He's not. Are you kidding?
Japanese name says, speaking of surprise marked wrestlers, out of these 4, who had the worst wrestling career? Austin, Hogan, Michaels, or Ric Flair?
Who had the worst?
Worst?
Nothing. They all had the best.
I think his thing is unrelated. He's speaking of something, and then he says something unrelated. But out of those 4...
The worst? Michaels? No.
Hogan, because I just
come
don't
on,
like him.
Hogan had the best. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Austin.
Possibly Austin because his career got ended prematurely.
Yeah, let's go with Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the biggest wrestling star of the whole industry. So yeah, what a terrible wrestling career he had.
What a jobber. Jobber JJ actually says, the SmackDown Women's Championship feud I hate so much that it actively makes me hate all 3 wrestlers, so I let it play and made myself a nice sandwich.
That's good. That's a good plan.
Nice.
Jonathan Hedman says, hi everyone, I hope your day has been well. I think this episode of Raw could be summed up as Soul to Soul once sang back to reality.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. We had like that. Like the thumbnail for last week was Heyman saves Raw. And here we are, dumbest ending of Raw in 2019.
Maybe we were a bit premature.
A little bit.
Jobber J says, as ever, the Street Profits were awesome. Montez Ford champ.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. Montez Ford.
I did that at the wrong time, didn't I?
You did.
Montez Ford, future WWE champion.
He's great.
Mark my words.
Sean Turner says, guys, Chopper Pete is acting very fishy. Keep an eye on him. He has an evil laugh like Fakador. I'm getting very worried and scared. Try to talk to Pete.
Anything you want to add, mate?
No idea what you're talking about, mate.
He's a good lad.
Yeah.
Start recording says, Andrade and Cesaro are too good not to have titles.
Not everyone can have a title.
Yeah.
Today's project list. Thank you for your donation. Start recording back in. Say, what is your favorite US/IC title feud of all time?
Benoit Jericho IC belt.
I can't remember that far back. So.
Child.
Jinder Mahal versus Rusev.
I literally can't think of one. I'm going to go with a terrible one. It's not my favorite. This is just one I can think of, and that's Cody Rhodes versus Big Show at WrestleMania 28.
That's a great shout, though. That features one of my favorite Cody promos, which is when they're like making fun of all the Big Show's terrible like WrestleMania moments, and it's got Big Show with this kid in the shoulder going, WrestleMania, baby, woo! And then it cuts back to Cody, who's laughing and goes, ha ha, woo.
I think the heat is making Pete giddy. You laugh way too much.
That was wicked.
It's hilarious.
Thank you so much for reminding me of that.
Jobber J says, Beer 52 is expensive to ship.
What? It's like £5.
Yeah, it's quite heavy. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's £5. It's £5. It's cheaper
and
than a
it's
pint.
it's fragile as well. 'Cause
It's cheaper than a pint in London. Dot in London.
Dot in London.
Yeah, jobber.
Dot
Sean Turner says, Luke, I saw your awesome red jacket. Please bet it with Cultaholic to get Ollie's tiger jacket back. Please, everyone in the chat, tell Luke, rescue the jacket.
I don't think I really want that jacket back.
It's also not a tiger jacket, but
Went straight to Ollie's head.
Yeah, it's a leopard print jacket.
Yeah.
Matthew Muldoon says, Mark Henry and Mae Young had far better sexual chemistry than Seth and Becky.
True that. That's very true.
Mae Young had good chemistry with anyone, to be honest.
It's true.
Armless Ambidextrous says,
Great
seen
name.
either of Viceland's wrestling docuseries?
I have not,
No.
but we had a recommendation in
We
the
did.
mailbag to give one of them a shout, which sounded really good, actually.
Yeah, it did sound really fun. I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, we don't, yeah.
Ryan B. Bad says, but Luke, just think Cedric was in the main event.
That's not the point, though, is it?
God.
Yeah, but you're right. No, you're absolutely right, though.
He was.
He was in the main event.
And in previous weeks, it's been Ricochet and AJ Styles. Crazy main events. That's good. Nice change. Just do it better.
He lost.
Indeed. Wilson Simmons says, Alistair Black has been begging for a fight, then Ray offers an open challenge and doesn't take it. I'm crying at Luke describing the main event.
And in fairness, Alistair Black is on SmackDown. He's stuck in a SmackDown cupboard as opposed to a Raw cupboard.
And also, he's been begging for someone to pick a fight with him. He's not about to go out. He's not going to do the work and go and pick a
In a
fight for
shipping
himself.
container, they just take it every SmackDown
Exactly,
taping.
yeah.
Sparks
To clarify as well, it wasn't just that he lost in the main event. That would have been fine. It's that he acted like he won.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sparks Entertainment says, have a feeling we won't see Bray until SummerSlam. Seems like WWE has no idea how to use the Fiend, and what a shame, but his momentum has died.
Yeah, I didn't say. I said last week that I don't think it has died off because I was quite enjoying the sort of like bleeding into our reality. But the fact I don't think they did anything on this week's show.
They did one. I got
they
tweeted earlier, I think.
They got
I
the
think
one.
that was Abby the Witch.
It
Wasn't
was
it?
no, there was Huskus the Pig was behind Ricochet before he was moving out.
Okay, so they did one of them then.
They did do one of them, yeah.
But there's only so many weeks you can do
I know.
this. Like I argued with Ollie that I thought 2 weeks was actually a really good amount, but I thought he'd be debuting this week. So the longer you don't do it, the worse it is going to end up being. I can only say, like, it feels like the air is going out of the balloon now. And we've been getting this for quite some time. I mean, we've been getting this since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first Bird Raptor promos were on the Raw after WrestleMania. That's a long old bit of build for someone to make a return.
It is, yeah.
It is. The Zornis says, if Brock cashes in and wins against Seth, is he Raw Women's Champion? Winner takes all rule. I would love Becky beating him. Agree? Dumbest ending.
I think that if Brock interfered, if he stopped that match and cashed in, that would nullify the previous rule. And then it would become...
You could cash in on Bayley.
It would become, I guess, a three-way between Seth, Baron, and Brock.
Maybe he's Bayley's friend at Extreme Rules.
It's hard to say, though, because if we're going by their own rules, then he'd be added to the match based on previous cash-ins where it becomes a triple threat when they start cashing in. So then technically it would be like a five-way.
But you can't have the men fighting the women.
Exactly.
So like Becky was in the second half of their elimination match, they'd just be removed from the match and it becomes a triple threat.
Yeah.
Javier Reyes says, I thought it was going to be Montez Ford under the mask.
Well, I mean, I'm glad it wasn't because
I'm glad it wasn't as
because he
well.
lost and acted like he won.
And you imagine Montez Ford celebrating like he won.
Oh God!
It would have been an amazing celebration, and it would have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Josh Paulson says, that rant from Luke was rawsome. Everyone,
mate.
a lot of you like your rant, Luke.
Thank you very much.
It was very David Mitchell. Jobber JJ.
That is what I aspire to.
Jobber JJ says,
That is like compliments of the highest order to say that was very David Mitchell.
Jobber JJ says, I laughed at Raw for most of the show. The 24/7 championship was funny to laugh along with, but Cedric looked like a geek. No wonder Cedric is a jobber.
Well, no, he's in the main event now.
Oh, yeah, good
he's
point.
a star.
And speaking of which, Tomo says, Luke, I can see the end segment was your favourite.
Yeah,
Quite.
totally.
And Tim says, Luke, we can't have Cedric win. Shane is the best in the world. I think this is all during your rant earlier.
Yeah,
so we've got a
probably.
long way to go.
Yeah.
Kenneth Longstreth says, Luke spoke for us all. And Tim Peterson says, I shut off Raw after the first segment. I can't do this. Says S word, so I suppose he means sugar. Much longer.
No, it's I mean, maybe it'll
I
get.
can see that.
Yeah, do you know what? Maybe it'll get better.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic for Heyman.
Me too.
Kong Unlimited says, what's going on with Bray?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Derek B says, I skipped the whole show to watch the end. Fail.
Oh, mate, you missed the AJ Ricochet stuff was the best bit.
Adam Shoti says, I think Bayley is jealous of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross's friendship because Bayley's friend Sasha Banks left her after they lost the tag belts. What do you think? She's going to be coming back on Sunday.
Yeah, no, but I think he's right. No, I
Yeah.
think that Bayley is... And actually, no, I don't think Bayley is jealous of their friendship because she recognises that Alexa is using Nikki Cross to her own advantage.
Yeah, it's a stupid, convoluted, weird story. No one cares.
Speaking of which, where was The Undertaker? Why didn't he come out to
Well,
help?
he was. That was part of a stipulation. If you missed it, if Undertaker got involved, he'd be removed from the match. Extreme Rules.
Fair enough.
We said it on commentary.
Oh, I missed that bit.
Yeah.
Tony Pentikainen says, Vince running, WWE is like my grandparents who would try to be YouTubers. Have a great week. Enjoy your channel.
In fairness, I feel like I'm a grandparent trying to be a YouTuber.
Hey, just whatever that was about the smoke. Flint Mech says, Cedric's loss will never be mentioned. Wins and losses don't matter in WWE, only moments.
Yeah, that was a thing I wanted to actually point out later on. They're never going to mention this again.
Certainly not the loss.
If they mention that Cedric was in the main event, they will not mention that he lost.
They'll just essentially just cut out the loss bit. They'll just show him making his comeback and then standing next to Roman pulling this face.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, hey guys, Cedric upset Shane and Drew.
It's so good with blood pouring from his mouth.
I did it.
But I won. Maybe Drew kicked him so hard he thought he won.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
Brian
what it was.
Hoyt says, why would Sasha come back to this? Why?
Money.
Money. Dollar.
Also, I think there are, Meltzer's talked about this before, there are some people within WWE that for their whole life, they've just wanted to work for WWE. And so they've achieved their dream, and even if it's not the dream they wanted it to be, just the fact that they're in there and WWE has created this environment where you should be grateful that you are even here, that they don't want to leave that. Zack Ryder apparently is a very good example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Whitfield says, when they lost, they should have just kept the mask on. No harm, no foul.
Right? That's what I said earlier. Just keep the mask on and pretend it was Gary the janitor. It would have been hilarious.
Tim Peterson says, I'm the father of Maria's baby. I'm going to think there's going to be a lot of this
Yeah,
going
probably.
on now.
So it's the new "It Should Have Been Me."
Yeah.
Shut up, Gilbert. Thank you for your donation.
Thank you.
Skywalker D says, did AJ turn heel? I missed last night's show. He did last week.
Yeah, he turned heel
last week.
Yeah.
Steve Wynyard says, Kofi injury rumor. Will he relinquish the title? So the story is that he missed his house show match last night despite wrestling on both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, he wrestled on Saturday and Sunday, but he announced on Monday's house show that he was injured, and Finn and Dolph had a main event match instead.
I thought that if it was storyline that they would have waited till tonight, which is why it's worrying.
So I think they're hoping that he's going to be well enough to wrestle at Extreme Rules. And then it's probably going to get addressed on SmackDown tonight anyways, so we'll find out tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm also hoping, speaking of SmackDown tonight, I know we want to try and rattle through this, that we're actually going to get an announcement that the Kabuki Warriors are facing the Iconics.
Oh, what happened with that? Did they win in Tokyo?
Apparently
they did,
so.
yeah.
They did?
It just wasn't announced on TV last week, so I'm wondering if they, quote, ran out of time.
And we're finding out who Aleister Black is facing.
Very true.
Hewell DDA says, chose Raw over the pub based on the hype over last week. I felt like a right chump by the end.
Mate, never choose Raw over the pub.
No, don't do that.
Mate,
Idiot.
catch Raw on replay.
I love beer, me. Abram Penner says, I want more Seth versus Andrade.
Me too, mate. Me
It
too.
doesn't. Nate Drops surname says, build begins for Jerry Springer to return to Raw. The whole
Oh,
baby
because of the
thing.
pregnancy thing, yeah. I mean, he's still relevant in 2019, right?
Is he? I thought it had finished.
No, I was kidding. I was
It
joking.
was sarcasm.
Bubba Rick says, who do you think knocked on Aleister Black's door?
Rumor was it was going to be Cesaro.
Kessel
Probably
Row.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I don't know.
I thought it was the Kessel run for a second there.
DX Solo.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Bubba Rick has said exactly what I said last time. Sandeep Kumar Verma, thank you very much for your donation. Bucky the Ace Ventura says, Raw is now the Raw recap show.
Bucky the Ace Ventura. That's a wicked name.
Isn't it just?
That's cool.
Probably not his real name.
Yeah, it could be.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Stop
That's
judging
true.
him. His Christian names
The-
are Bucky the
Bucky
Ace.
the. No,
Bucky
his first
the
name is
Ace.
Bucky the, and then he's Ace Ventura.
Ace
is his
Ventura,
surname.
yeah.
Of course.
Math-
Sorry, what was the question?
I don't know.
Good job, Randy.
He says Raw is now the Raw recap show.
That's good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Your
Matthew,
name's amazing.
Matthew Patrick, thank you, Matt, for your donation.
Thank you very much.
Van Thomas says ramp up action in ad breaks, drive ticket sales up.
Well, yeah. So this was the thing. It was that we stopped getting wrestling in ad breaks because apparently Vince, the rumor on the grapevine is that Vince found out through his XFL stuff that they don't do action in other sports during ad breaks, and he was like, "What?" Well, in which case, then we won't do that either.
You never watch another sport.
Of course he
Of
hasn't.
course not. He's in the WWE bubble.
So yeah, and that's why we're not getting that. But you're right. Like a way to do it is just to have. Like the problem was is they were treating the ad breaks like that was the rest hold bit. Yeah. So they would just they would do a big spot and then they would go to break and they would just do a rest hold through all the ad break stuff. And that means then, as a viewer, we don't miss anything, but the people in the audience get a boring match. And then what we end up seeing is the comeback. So we don't actually get to see the heat. There is a much better way to structure this. They've chosen remarkably the worst way to do it.
Yeah.
Just do
Change when the ad breaks
more. Yeah, more ad breaks during promo segments, like one after and one before, and then just have the whole match in one segment.
That's what I've been saying. It's like if you're doing a 20-minute match, you have an ad break at the start, ad break at the end. It's not like WWE don't have a good relationship with the with the USA Network.
No, exactly.
They've been with them for like 100 years. Like they'll be fine.
Pete's number 3 fan, must be a typo there.
Number
Dom
3.
Bennett says, to be honest, I haven't seen 1 or 2.
I haven't seen 1 or 2, but I've just got 3.
He's
It's
just
fine.
decided there's probably 2 more.
Probably at least 2. Yeah.
I'll play it safe.
Hi guys, previous pledge hammer here from Australia.
No, don't say so dismissively.
Just
Thank
wanted
you
to
very
How
much
dare
for being
you
a pledge.
Previously give us
Thanks,
money.
Dom.
Thank you so
previous
much.
pledge hammer here from
Nelson
Australia. Just wanted to send some love your way before I start my midnight shift. Well, enjoy that, Dom.
Absolutely
Thank you
enjoy
very
that, mate.
much.
And thank you for being a pledge
And
hammer.
listen,
Don't listen
you
to
can listen to
Randy.
WrestleTalk. Oh no, you can't because you're not a pledge hammer anymore.
Don't listen to him. He's an idiot.
Wallow
Just it,
TV. Who's Dan? Says
Dan.
Joe, guys. Joe?
Yo, guys.
Possibly. Joe, guys, I'm sliding in to remind you of the Almanac Volume 2. I got it, and it's awesome. So much information. If you need more info, Swaff Nation, go to WrestleTalk website and search Almanac.
Or
Dan is the best.
Or
He
go
is.
to WrestleTalk.bigta...
Yeah.
Oh, no.
WrestleTalk.bigcartel.com.
Yes.
Black
That's the one.
Zero, thank you for your donation. Abram Penner says, Evans and Corbin backstage segments, my eyes and ears, ouch, they are just horrible.
They're not the worst, though.
They're not the worst.
I think Bayley and Nikki was way worse.
Yeah.
Interesting one here from Jay Personen says, does Luke look like White Mo Farah?
He's the runner lad, right?
He
He
is the
is.
runner lad from Somalia,
No.
who's British also.
I want to say.
When he said it, I sort
No.
of.
Is it because we both have baldy heads?
Bald heads.
Bald
yeah.
heads
Yeah.
and a similar shape face.
Oh, that's at least something.
Yeah. Adam Travers says Andrade and Vega win after the distraction from Lacey. Surely builds all characters and everything around them.
Yeah, but then Seth loses going into a pay-per-view.
Exactly.
And
Granted,
Becky.
it builds you're right. It kind of builds up towards their match, but yeah, let's not be pinning champions.
This is
especially
where,
especially matches that don't matter.
Be fine for not a go-home show.
yeah. You've been talking about the 24/7 championship when Jobber JJ gets angry. He says,
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, it's worth a comedy. It shows all the hard work the jobbers go through.
Great.
Yeah, I'd say it is absolutely
Yeah,
worth the
take
comedy.
that, jobber.
It's worth the comedy. It's still a pointless title.
Thank you very. Yeah, that's the key to it. It's not that it's it's comedy, but it's a meaningless title. It means nothing.
Tomo jumps in to defend him, says, don't worry, Jobber JJ, as long as it isn't pointless for you, it can be even more enjoyable.
There you go.
Exactly.
Everyone
Good-
enjoys
Good
different
point,
things.
Tomo.
Everybody-
There might
happy.
be someone who's going to watch this video and be like, "That's the greatest end to Raw in history."
Yeah, I've ever seen.
And Rob Pontin helps us with some Football Corner. Says, Randy, you're wrong. America only care about the national team. There's the Women's League is nothing. England, France, and Spain are the powerhouse in football. Yes. Mason Corey says, this is the most excited over Lashley I've been.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
actually, yeah,
same.
me too. Probably since he came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To Rob's point, though, there wasn't your point that it's the women's football they're interested in, not the men's team.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, the men's team aren't great. They lost to Mexico in the Copa
But in those countries that he mentioned, the men's teams are powerhouses, but the women's teams are not treated as seriously.
No, it's pretty much only England and America where all teams are actually professional.
Yeah. I was just defending you, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke.
But yeah, Bobby Lashley, thumbs up.
Yeah,
yes,
like
Rob.
I also liked him at WrestleMania 35 when he had the contacts in. Continue.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was IC champion.
I liked him against Umaga. Rob Leonard said Baron Corbin 2019 heel version of Roman Reigns.
It's not
What?
bad, yeah. Constantly pushed, always on TV.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of
Kailash
Yeah.
Chowdhury
No one wants him.
says, you guys are the best. Please never stop this. Love from India.
Thank you
thank you
so
very
much.
much.
It's very, very kind of you to say. We're fine.
Wilson Simon says, if Heyman were to make a new top 6, who do you think it would be?
Cesaro, Aleister Black, Seth Rollins, Andrade, Ricochet, AJ Styles.
Yes.
That is 6. Pete was counting there for you.
I was.
Tomo says, since Styles, Gallows and Anderson are back together, John Cena better watch his back. Hashtag beat up John Cena.
Beat up John Cena.
People seem very nostalgic for beat up John Cena.
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun at the time, but I feel like I'm nostalgic for it.
I am because I wasn't too familiar with AJ Styles beforehand, because I wasn't a TNA mark. I wasn't really that familiar with New Japan or anything that he'd done beforehand. Seeing him be awesome in WWE, I was like, this guy is great. Where's he been?
Yeah, he's only 42.
Yeah.
Cool Stuff 9217 says, will Seth Rollins eventually become the Demon Slayer?
Oh, if he beats Finn. No, and that would require Finn to get a push.
That's true. Fabio Geronimo, which is a wonderful name, says, hi fellas, just remember that Brazil won over Peru. Keep up the good work. Cheers from Brazil. There was the big sort of cup for the South America teams. It was rigged towards Brazil.
Lovely
Of course
stuff.
it was.
It was. True Dill
Football is a
says,
work, I've
I
decided.
wish they'd change his name to Mike Bennett again.
Mike,
wouldn't make a
That
lot of
might be
sense.
the end goal. They
Yeah.
want to change him back to Mike
gonna
Bennett,
say,
and that's
Mike-
the way to do it.
Mike Kanellis fits this version of the
That's the
character.
whole story.
Yeah.
He just goes to deed poll. Jonathan Baroob says, I like how Bayley said former member of the Riot Squad and she came out with the Riot Squad music and typed on graphic.
Well, you know, I think they pulled her name out of a hat, to be honest. They were like,
Yeah.
who's available? Oh, God, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Have
Who's
you-
a
have
heel?
you got music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he back in to say, did you catch Mean Charlie called Carl Luke?
I did not.
Ah, well, there you go.
No,
Thinking about you, Luke.
Yeah.
Dan from Pensacola, Florida
Everyone knows
says,
that. Me and Kayla.
answer to it's me and Renee then. Answer to last week's existential philosophical question: why I hid and muted you under my desk during work, pulled you up, hit a super chat, closed on YouTube, watch later. Now back to work I go. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Did you see that, Pete?
No.
So the guy who was like, I have you open under my desk and on mute. We're like, well, why have you got us open then? But yeah,
That makes so much more sense.
that does make a lot of sense.
I did not put that together last week.
No,
Yeah.
we should have done. Norris Campbell, it's very hot in here, says, hi Lucasaurus and Pete Chopper, at work so
Hi.
can't watch till later. Finally got tickets for All Out and want to wear your merch.
Nice.
Any suggestions?
Yes. Go to WrestleTalkShop.com. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to WrestleTalkShop.com and buy some t-shirts from there.
Or email me and I'll sell you one of these on the black market.
But congratulations on getting tickets for All Out. That's
Yeah,
gonna
well
be a-
done.
that's
That's
gonna be an
impressive on its
awesome
own.
show.
Yeah.
Ed says, what's your favourite ever heel or face turn in WWE?
Austin at WrestleMania X7, obviously.
I
I'm
will
kidding,
say
obviously.
this isn't the best one, but this is the first one that comes to mind. CM Punk at Raw 1000.
Oh, when he beat up,
When he beat up
The Rock, yeah.
Nia
Just
Jax,
'cause I
when
was
she
a
did
massive
that.
CM Punk fan, massive CM
Nia
Punk
Jax's
fan.
electric chair backdrop on.
Back to Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
No, of course. Like it's The Rocket Survivor Series 1998. In the Deadly Games tournament. That's the greatest heel turn. Like, it's the greatest one night heel turn. It's amazing.
Good. Luke Witt says, no Banks return. Cross beats Bayley and doesn't want to give Bliss the belt, starting their feud.
So no Banks return.
They set up a friend, so there definitely is going to be a friend.
No, but sorry. Just the point was that Banks doesn't return.
But Banks doesn't return, and then Nikki beats Bayley, and she keeps the belt, doesn't give it to Alexa.
And
They
They actually haven't gone through the rules of what happens in a 2-on-1 handicap match against Bayley, because they did it for Kevin and Sammy against AJ Styles, which they addressed, and Sammy and Kevin were like, we'll be co-WWE champions. But here they're just like, It's just 2 of them against 1 for a
But
singles championship.
Nikki said in her promo that she is just there to make sure that Alexa wins. So she's
Yeah.
not going to attempt to make a pinfall.
Now she's not.
Exactly. So it means
Until
they
Sunday,
build up
when
drama.
she betrays Alexa.
Yeah, perhaps.
Thank you, message retracted and message retracted.
Thank you very
Bryant
much.
Hoyt says, was the ratings down last week? Raw, and that's why Vince went back to the wacky non-logical storylines, like Vince knew his stuff worked. No, ratings weren't down.
No,
last week.
ratings
They
were up. Ratings
last
were up
week.
for Raw last
Ratings
week.
were up by 10%, and according to reports, Vince was really happy with the show as well.
Yeah.
Just a shame he didn't, replicate any of the success.
He did all the Mike and Maria stuff.
Oh my god.
The Ninja Story says Undertaker would be great in Stranger Things.
Would he?
Probably not. Christopher Mendez says, do you think Vince would put Keith Lee and Bobby Roode in a tag team once he hear them both talk about glory? Thoughts?
Yeah, probably, actually. Now that
Bask
you
in my
mention it.
gloriousness.
Yeah, oh, God, there it is. God damn it. Yeah, that's where we're heading.
Yeah. Bask in their glory.
Job at JJ says, Andy, don't tell me to take that when you don't have a merch. Because I said to take that earlier.
Okay.
I'm just refreshing because I lost internet because I think we might be having.
Yeah, I've lost it on my laptop as well.
Okay.
We're having a lot of
I
trouble
did.
with the Wi-Fi. in the office.
I'm now back, but I did lose it earlier.
I think we're still streaming. Triple Threat 03
I mean, you
Double
can check.
D says nothing, but thank you for your donation.
Thank
Rob
you.
Pontin says no. I was saying the women's domestic league is bad.
Oh, okay.
And that is the last one we have. I think there are more, but
you just can't see
I
them
can't
because internet.
see them.
The internet is back up and running now.
But there it does say there is an error has occurred on the stream, so we might have been cut out.
Cool.
I mean, can you do us a check while I'm doing some Patreon shout-outs?
Sure
Are we
thing.
still live?
Yes.
That would
But
be a
anyway,
good thing
we
to
are
know.
going to do some Patreon shout-outs. We're going to act as if things are normal here. And we're going to shout out our Patreon pledge hammers. If you want to become one of our Patreon pledge hammers at the $25 and above level, all you've got to do is head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk and get involved. And then you'll get your name shouted out on the WrestleRamble, like these fine folks. The monster among Patreons, Brian Strowman. Ooh.
Yeah.
We are still
Very
streaming.
good. That's
you.
good. Ooh, Stream Slayer.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So handsome, he makes all the boys Joe Ellis.
Joe Ellis,
very
nice. That was
good.
one of yours, wasn't it, Randy?
it was.
That's
That
good,
was a
mate.
Randy
It's
one.
very
That's
good.
good.
Shaun of the Dead Peril.
Woo!
Great
Woo!
film, great film.
Kirsten. Just Kirsten.
Well,
Kirsten.
just Kirsten, yeah.
It's a reference to something that a very small heat angle.
I think
in
we have a
2000.
Tim. I think we have a Tim, just Tim as well. So.
We have,
Nice,
we have a
very
Duncan,
good.
just Duncan.
Oh, that's the one. We're going on a Brian Huntley.
There we are.
Yeah.
Robin Banks, Lee Roberts.
Robin All the Banks. The Life of Jordan Riley.
Good song, mate. Good song.
He can last, Sean, for longer than you in the ring.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can.
So long.
Rebel Without a Crew, Robert Rodriguez. An amazing autobiography. Fantastic.
Very good. Colin McLeaner than Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Oh,
There he
yeah. Master of the Meyerlock, Joe Meyer.
Oh, lock it in. Lock it in. The Rocket, Dan Van Sky. Nice.
Very nice. Float like a butterfly, Samad Ali.
Oh, sting like a bee.
Sting like a bee.
And lastly, let's have a drink, Christopher Travis Merriman.
Hey, lovely stuff.
So many
Thank
drinks.
you so much to all of you wonderful, wonderful human beings. And thank you very much for watching. That is all we have got time for on this edition of the WrestleRamble. If you're watching on catch up, click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things, and this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon. Remember, get the WrestleTalk Almanac. The link is in the video description down below. I've been Luke Owen. This has been Chopper Pete Quinnell. That over there was Randy Andy Datson. And that's We're Rambling.
We're going to have to start singing a bit, Luke.
That's
'cause
fine. I'll start singing That Was a Roar.
That
I'm
was
doing
Raw.
a